Attention. The movie guys love movies. Any comments about a certain celebrity taking all the good lady parts in Hollywood are purely for entertainment purposes only. Isn't that right, Bruce Jenner?
Oh, wait a second.
How did that happen?
Lady parts, double meaning. You're not allowed to employ double meanings to fool me, are you?
I didn't know we could get them off the shelf. Here, I've been buying dinner and drinks and plying them with wine for lady parts.
You would just take the parts?
I would just take some parts.
You just need to go to the Napa Auto Center and get yourself some lady parts.
Build my
Get
own.
yourself some lady parts. Billy D. Williams says, get yourself some lady parts.
That way I can get the ones that I like, You know,
And
the good
also,
ones.
sometimes it's better to get your own parts instead of, and just pay for the labor.
Welcome to the Movie Showcast, everybody, part of the vast and sprawling Movie Guys empire. I've sentenced boys younger than you to the gas chamber. Didn't want to do it, felt I owed it to them. You've reached ground zero for all things movies and comedy. We bring the two together right here on our show every week with jokes, rants, sketches, characters, bits, special guests, and more as we broadcast from the Admirals Club, an oasis for weary travelers. They don't stop making movies, so we don't stop making comedy shows about movies, which means you can get a new show every week on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, Vimeo, PulpEpic.com, YouTube, Player.fm, and of course, themovieguys.net. Absolutely free, and we encourage you to subscribe, especially at iTunes. You know, share, like posts, rate us, leave a review, all that. We appreciate it. And if you do all that, still, no charge.
Holy.
Speaking of themovieguys.net, after the show, head on over there for new movie reviews, including Furious 7, Unfriended, Alex of Venice, and some extensive articles on the best short films out there, and the indie film Primrose Lane. But please check out my review of Far From the Madding Crowd. I try like hell to review it, but keep getting distracted by Avengers. We're also on WBAD.net, Fridays at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. Basically, search The Movie Guys on the internets and Googles, and we come right up. I'm your host for the hardest working podcast on the airwaves, Paul Preston, here with Karen Volpe.
I called ahead to get a seat next to the mayonnaise.
Bart Caius.
Turns out size does matter.
And Adam Witt.
There's only one God, ma'am, and I'm pretty sure he doesn't dress like that.
We are joined all show long by comedian and writer who has performed all over on stage, radio, on his podcast, Obsessed, on iTunes, and more. Plus, he's written for, among other things, the great riff tracks, something we can all appreciate here at the Movie Guys. Joseph Scrimshaw.
Thank you for the applause. Hey, those little things that you say after your name, do you say them the same things every show, or do you say different things every time?
No, you get different things every time, and I always forget until I see says something.
Have you ever just said says something?
Maybe you should.
Madam says something. That's a movie quote, right?
Says something. Oh, certainly somebody
Probably.
says.
Would you like to say something? I could introduce your name again.
No, that's fine. I mean, I'll just drop them in throughout.
Perfect. That's
Whatever
fair.
you feel, right? Just say a movie quote.
I love you.
right?
Just if I say that randomly, I mean it is a movie quote.
Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah,
We're right there with
exactly.
you.
Yeah.
I'm going to use that one on my next date. If I happen to say I love you, I'm just quoting a movie.
How quick you went from lady parts to an actual woman you're trying to impress.
Now, Joseph, I assume as a riff tracker, much like the rest of us in this room, when you meet someone and you kind of want to suss out if they're kind of like a movie guy or a movie gal, you kind of will throw out a reference, right, to see if they bite. But it could be a part of the conversation.
Yeah, for me, I feel like our whole culture is so permeated with pop culture stuff that I used to like that used to be a little bit like, that's weird if you're super into a movie. Now I feel like probably everyone is in a garage or a basement talking about a movie into a microphone.
Yeah.
Like the odds of that are so much higher.
Yeah.
Like it's more like, can I maybe get out of a conversation like that just every once in a while? How are your kids? I honestly want to know. So just talking about it.
No way, I'm not going to go that far.
No, but I know what you mean of like, trying to find out if you're sort of simpatico.
Yeah, exactly. You guys playing cards or something like that, and you're like, is an Animal House reference going to come back or something? You know, you're like, okay, that's the guy that I probably can talk about Caddyshack later with or something.
Or if you say to somebody and you just say, listen, and they say, do you smell
Do
something?
you smell something?
I
Exactly.
will talk to them.
I will tell them. Yeah.
Ghostbusters always goes a long way. with you.
Certainly. Yes.
I know every word to that.
Certainly.
Now listen, as ever, don't go into the multiplex unprepared.
Oh, no.
We are here to give you your weekly patented movie previews. This week, only one film really worth talking about, The Avengers Age of Ultron, the sequel to everything, it seems.
Sequel to Indiana Jones.
Designed to save the world.
It's the Mandarin.
People will look to the sky and see hope. I'll take that from them first.
This movie has everything, Paul. Stuff blowing up,
stuff exploding, stuff imploding, a Hulk running amok. Amok, I tell ya!
Just wanted to say amok.
I did.
There is a description somewhere on the internet that has Hulk running amok.
Oh.
Like the Wikipedia plot description ends with something, and then the Hulk runs amok.
Yeah,
By the way-
it's almost a spoiler.
One of my favorite games is you find a unique word and you throw out to a friend in the room, what's his superpower? So therefore, and because it's Avengers Week, I say to the room, Amok, what's his superpower?
Amok?
A superhero named Amok?
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
I think he would just spread everywhere. I think
Right?
he could just explode and throw parts of himself across the room.
He's like, he turns himself into several clones, but he has to explode against the wall first.
I think his body just explodes. I
Yeah.
think there's just viscera everywhere.
And then it reforms like a Terminator.
Yeah,
Like a liquid Terminator.
his main power is just distraction, I think.
Distraction. Boom!
I think when I was a kid, my Stretch Armstrong ran amok.
Oh, 'cause you punctured it, right?
Yeah.
He oozed all over the room?
Yes.
Yeah, there's
Wolf
some
run
fluid in him, wasn't there?
Yeah, it's gooey and sticky.
And every
And it
time
moves
Adam plays
slow.
this game, I always think, well, be careful, because this is probably a tick supervillain.
Hey, it probably is. A lot. I've had
When
that
in doubt.
happen. I thought I created the Red Scare. I did not.
Oh, for real? I thought you did too.
The Red Scare actually had been a tick villain.
Oh,
And Paul played
hilarious.
the Red Scare in a
Yeah.
short film I shot in Chicago.
He actually existed already. Oops.
With Joe
Oh, what are you gonna
Nunez.
do?
And
Somebody was talking to me and he said, Karen, your husband reminds me of the tick. I took that as a compliment.
Take
nice.
that.
Yeah.
I get Warburton a lot. Not that
Yeah.
I'm
you're very
No,
tick-
no, not
Right?
Warburton. The
the
tick.
tick.
The
Thank
tick.
you.
This is when I
Still a
when I met
compliment.
Paul.
It's a good physique.
Yeah. When I met Paul, the first thing I did was put him in a superhero short because listen to the guy.
Let's get on to the movie previews, Arthur. Summer's officially kicking off here with the Avengers Age of Ultron. It comes to the big screen this Friday, and a bigger screen if you're willing to pay extra. Adam, let's talk about it.
Breathless. Summer movies don't get any bigger than The Avengers, which is either the second or the 10th sequel in the heroic action-adventure series by Marvel Studios.
In a sequel crazy world where Divergent 2 had to hire a different director because the director of Divergent 1 wasn't finished shooting, it's refreshing that Marvel Studios made 10 films to make sure we were completely cool with the second Avengers.
For both of you in the audience who haven't heard of The Avengers,
How are things in Antarctica?
yes, I'm sorry you were raised in a basement, but glad to hear you were rescued safely. Oh, and also The Avengers are a group of superheroes who defend Earth from the greatest threats in the universe.
Age of Ultron is the sequel to The Avengers, released in 2012, which became the highest-grossing film of that year, the highest-grossing comic book adaptation ever, the highest-grossing superhero film ever, and the highest-grossing movie ever released by Walt Disney Studios, taking in $1.5 billion worldwide, which makes it the third highest-grossing film in history, behind Titanic and Avatar. So, no pressure, sequel.
It'll beat it. It'll
It's
beat
got
it
its
all.
number. I think you're right. Now, the Avengers team consists of Iron Man, the rich guy with the power to dissipate envy and jealousy amongst friends.
Thor, the god of thunder, second only to the god of whale sounds for supremacy and putting you to sleep.
Captain America, the benevolent and selfless soldier who fights for the little guy and is for some reason named after America.
And the Incredible Hulk, who transforms from a giant green monster into a different respectable actor every time he changes.
This time, the team is joined by comic favorites the Scarlet Witch, the living poltergeist,
Quicksilver, who's faster than a lawsuit over the Speedster in X-Men Days of Future Past, but slower than the Flash TV show in pop culture penetration.
Now, small warning for Karen and Bart. There are a lot of characters in this movie, and they all have different names. As the main heroes are joined by the robot hero, the Vision, the Punisher, I think, Ghost Rider, Magneto, Spawn, Darkman, Mighty Mouse, Steel, the Phantom, Automan,
And Sting, just the
Sting.
musician Sting.
Yeah, the musician Sting.
also in the movie.
See, I think Wonderbug. I'm gonna go Grape Ape, and maybe the dog from the Jetsons. I think that's it, and that's everybody.
Yeah. But Karen probably knows the actors who appear in the film, like Robert Downey Jr.,
Yes, I know him from Only You with Marissa Tomei.
Chris Evans,
Oh, I remember him from What's Your Number with Anna Faris.
Mark Ruffalo,
Oh my God, he was so good in Just Like Heaven with Reese Witherspoon.
Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah, I don't know him.
He's from your fantasies.
Yeah. Never
From last night.
did a romantic comedy, that guy?
No, like he said, it's in my romantic comedy dreams.
Now, the Avengers has a cast so big that you sometimes forget that Samuel L. Jackson is also in it, and that literally never happens any other time with any other movie.
As far as plot goes, Tony Stark accidentally opens the door to the creation of a sequel to the Avengers when one of his weapons programs gets co-opted and corrupted, and then combined with a very rare commodity called vibranium.
Without Booberl, I can't make my superconductors.
Wow. So you speak Joe versus the volcano. At a party, I would say, oh, so you speak Joe versus
You have no idea how hard I tried to get that in there.
Oh, God.
Wow. That's from a movie that was made in the 20th century? I mean, it sounds so old, that clip.
Right?
That clip is not in HD.
It's a mono.
Now, this gives spawn to the enemy, the ultimate enemy, Ultron, and his army of robot drones who are convinced that the only way to save the world is by destroying all the people that inhabit it. Wait, actually, now that I think about it, this Ultron guy actually has a pretty good point.
The films are so successful that Guy with 4 Lines from Iron Man 1 was spun off into his own TV show, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., now in Season 2 on ABC. And if you want an example of how popular Marvel's characters are, that show came after the character died. It's the longest-running TV program with a dead guy in the lead since The Jay Leno Show was at 10 p.m. on NBC.
Now, Marvel has become famous for
deserves
their
it.
post-credit scenes. He sure does. That show at least does. Now that Marvel's become famous for their post-credit scenes. However, earlier in the month, it was announced that Age of Ultron would have no post-credit scene. But we've uncovered the reason in our exhaustive research. Marvel is working on a movie that's all post-credit scenes. Yes, it's long silence, and then someone says something cryptic that a comic fan has to explain to his friends next to him in the theater. Then it fades out and fades up into an all-new disconnected moment for 2 hours.
Since Marvel Studios began this radical storytelling journey, they've based their movies on the doubts of critics just as much as they've based them the movies on comics. Iron Man was declared too obscure, Thor doubly so, Captain America too patriotic. Critics were certain the sequels would be derivative or devoid of new ideas, and Guardians of the Galaxy's clash between potential for failure and degree of success sent out a shockwave that's still killing naysayers.
For all their heroic deeds, the Avengers have decimated one real-world villain who's plotting against everyone always. The snarky internet critic. They are so defeated that none of them even has an opinion as to how well something named Ant-Man might do. And that movie sounds ridiculous.
There you go. That's Avengers Age of Ultron. Your thorough preview. So, maybe now you'll go see it.
Yeah, exactly.
Everyone in the world
Is anything else being released this weekend? Like, literally? Is there anything else?
Yeah, I think, Far From the Madding Crowd
Okay.
is opening.
And that's just designed
Victorian
to get
era drama.
people annoyed that it's not maddening.
So-
Like you
That
expect it to be.
makes
It's
me
maddening.
makes me crazy.
What's
Yeah.
a Shakespeare quote, right? Madding crowd?
I thought it was maddening.
I looked it up. Madding means frenzied.
Yeah.
And I thought maddening would mean building a frenzy.
I'm pretty sure it's a lyric in the Dean Martin song Volare. But
Far from the madding crowd.
it is almost exactly not like that.
Did you have any idea how that went when he started in? No, you just start singing.
It was a good pastiche of the general genre.
But I think it's something
no
like
relation to the
It's like
rhythm
my
or the
Mark
melody.
Ruffalo impression. It's close enough.
I think Avengers is 4,100 and plus screens. Far From the Madding
Wow.
Crowd is 39.
Yeah.
Is that like actual or
Yeah, that's
exaggeration?
right around. No, it's right around.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
amazing.
Who's
But
in
it's,
it?
it's a romantic comedy.
It's an art house, Victorian
yeah.
era thing. It's going to be 39
Yeah.
screens whenever it opens.
Right.
You know, but yeah, nothing. Everything moved to the side for
Yeah.
Avengers.
Do you think why am I asking this? The Avengers are finally going to knock the Fast and the Furious movie out of the...
Oh yes,
For sure.
Because that's been up there since it opened.
it's already.
Well, nothing tried to compete.
Paul Blart.
Yeah, right, it's true. Paul
Dude.
Blart couldn't knock Furious 7 up. That
Right?
is a proven franchise.
Different demo.
Yeah, maybe Paul Blart 7 will do it.
Right?
Yeah.
You know, people
They got
crashing
5
into
more
things
movies.
doesn't do as well as cars, I guess.
I
Guy,
got it.
guy crashing into it. Yeah. Oh,
I want to see Tyler Perez Medea as Paul Blart.
It is going to happen.
That would
so
be-
Get ready.
I want to see Medea as a
more lady parts. Right?
superhero. Lady parts. What's her superpower?
Lady
See, there you go.
I feel like I saw Medea on CNN beating up her kid during the riot. That's what I saw.
Yeah, that was just Tyler Perry. That was just he was filming another movie.
I think I saw that.
So I should say to the crowd, I don't know how many people are doing this, but Adam is cold turkey on this or cool turkey. You've seen some stuff.
Cool. I
purposefully.
watched the first teaser and I think the first teaser and the first trailer once.
By the way, we're not still on Far From the Madding Crowd. We've gone back to Avengers, just for our audience.
Well, I also haven't seen the trailer from Far From the Madding Crowd. But
You are
for a different reason.
You are ice cold on that one.
Cold. I'm going in so cold on Far From the Madding Crowd. But Joseph here. Is,
no, I haven't watched anything on purpose. Like I've seen like flashes of things because I can't turn the TV off.
You can't turn life off right now.
But I've avoided it. I know I'm going to enjoy the movie, so I don't feel like I want to see anything. Because I don't like. I think the trailers show too much for everything. I'm sure if I saw the trailer for Madding Crowd, I'd be maddened by how much that showed. And then especially when it's a thing I actually care about, I just don't like being distracted by my own sort of narrative construction based on, hey, I saw that scene, so it must relate to this other scene in this way.
That's exactly what it is.
And I'm distracted by myself. It's not like, oh man, I don't want to know the thing. It's more like, I don't want to be distracted by the secondary movie playing in my own head.
Yeah, I've heard there's huge swaths of the plot of the Avengers. And remembering the first one, there was so much more movie there than was ever advertised to me. It will obviously be quite fresh.
Yeah.
But yes, it started with Star Wars, and I realized with Phantom Menace or whatever, I just studied that thing like the Zapruder film to figure out everything and made up a whole world that of course didn't come true, not only because that movie wasn't very good and the one I had in my head was incredible, but also just like I just had spent too much time, and there are shots that you memorize that you go, oh, I haven't seen that yet,
so it must
wait
fall
a
in
second.
here.
Exactly.
I read the backs of the Phantom Menace action figures, and I did put together the plot correctly, and then I was shocked, and that's when it made me start to think, like, I don't want to know plots.
Yeah, we're savvy filmmakers. We see a plane explode in a trailer. Well, when our characters get on the plane, he's like, all right, when is this going to explode?
Yeah, and sometimes I go into a film going like, please explode right away, so I don't have to wonder.
Yeah.
I hadn't heard David Spader until this clip
James Spader.
James Spader.
David Spader.
Awesome.
Spader
Frightening.
as Ultron.
But I hadn't heard James Spader voice, and I just recently watched the parts of The Office TV show that he's on. Oh. So that's going to be disturbing and distracting and weird. It sounds like The Office to me.
It's so exciting knowing nothing. I mean, except the super basics. That like really, finally I've done this to myself. Where when I go in there, everything will be a fresh image. Like there are only now it's been so long, and that was the thing too. Is like you store up all those images, but if you've only seen it once, and it was like 4 months ago that I saw the first trailer, all those images are gone. The Hulk fights the Iron Man. I remember that, and that's it. Like that there's the Hulkbuster armor. Yeah. And that's all I remember.
They changed his name to the Iron Man?
The Iron Man.
They didn't want to know that, damn it.
Irony Man. What's his superpower?
The Captain of America.
The Captain of America. Well, the Invincible Iron Man, for a comic book fan, I just took the Invincible out. In my head.
Smart.
Whenever
Smart.
a mother
Nice.
is hiring, the American man and the
Captain of America?
the Captain of America for her birthday party because she doesn't want to have the kids' party company doesn't want to get sued.
Hi, kids. Not here as a member of the Walt Disney Company at all. Who wants cake? From Captain of the America.
Captain of the America, the Mr. Hulk. What were you calling him?
The
Asgardian God. That's me. Asgardian God.
Thunder Dude.
And we're here. We're here with our friend Dora, the girl who's lost.
Scooby the talking dog or whatever.
Yeah.
They wouldn't do that. Now, I have gone sort of cool turkey on this without even trying. Like, I'm specifically going on Star Wars cool turkey, which means I've seen the trailer once in the theater, and that's it.
Yeah,
I'm done. I don't need to watch it on my
first
phone,
trailer,
whatever. Yeah, I saw it in the theater I went at Star Wars Celebration. I saw it, so it was
the
like
place
the
to
place
do
to see.
I
it.
would have broken.
And somehow Avengers has done that too. Like they pop up clip from Avengers. I don't want to see that. Mm-hmm. And now somehow I've only seen like the original trailer and then the newer one, like once. Yeah. That's it. I mean, I didn't even watch it to get in here and write some of these jokes because I just figured we know what's going on.
I know Avengers.
And so I'm all set. I feel pretty good about going in on Sunday.
I did hear the interview with Robert Downey Jr. on Stern, and he doesn't give anything away either. Cause
they talked about other stuff mostly.
Yeah. They talked about him walking out on the interview, and I thought that was interesting because that's so many years ago that he had a drug and alcohol problem, and that reporter guy was getting all nervous because he knew he was going to ask kind of a bad
have you heard
question.
Of this?
Yeah, no, I watched it. I thought Robert Downey Jr. walked out like a boss. I thought it was great.
I did too. I thought it was really great. And he said he was a little uncomfortable because he wanted to promote the movie, and that's what he was there to do. And then when he could tell that guy was starting to do that, he didn't want to handle it inappropriately. and you wanted to be respectful.
Yeah, I thought he was really respectful, and I thought it was also very clear that he was looking over to check with his
person,
agent, manager,
yeah.
whoever was in charge of the interview, of like, this guy is clearly going way off of what he agreed to, and he keeps looking over like, is this cool? And then eventually clearly gets the sign of like, nope, I got the sign that it's done.
Yeah.
And was really nice about it.
Now, was this a press junket where the reporters rotate in?
Yeah.
So that's kind of weird for you to be the one that walks off
It
because
was the first
so
one
he's
of the
just got to
day.
wait into the hall
Yeah.
and then wait for the next guy to come in. And then he walks back in.
Pretty much.
An
yeah.
actual walk of shame for that interviewer who has to go past Robert Downey Jr.
I'll be waiting in the hall until the next guy shows up.
Paul, you heard the interview. Robert Downey Jr. said that interviewer had also done something similar to somebody else.
Tarantino.
Tarantino.
Yeah, tried to nail him with stuff, and Tarantino apparently, and I'd love to find this
He
online,
did a
just dismantled the guy.
dissertation.
Yeah.
Just went off on him.
Yeah, someone linked to it. One of the articles. I didn't get a chance to watch it. Though.
I mean, Downey on Stern said that this is a movie that kids are going to
For
tune in and want to
families.
hear what he has to say about it. We want to talk about this other stuff. So I'm sure that's
Yeah.
why at the beginning they probably said, everyone who comes in, we're not talking about any of this stuff. We're talking about Iron Man. You
yeah,
know?
that's a big no duh on the Avengers thing. Like, oh, don't talk about Robert Downey Jr.'s troublesome drug years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no shit.
crap,
Like if
yeah.
anybody else were told that, like, yeah, I got it.
And you're not gonna get him thinking, oh, you're avoiding, but I'm gonna nail you with it. He's talked about it all. It's not like
Yeah.
it's not you know, some
and part
foreign
of the
territory.
reason he was considered for Iron Man was because it was someone that was coming back from a bad history, from a bad past, and he is making better of his life. There's so many parallels that are fantastic, and why the
Yeah.
casting's brilliant.
Yeah.
So why would you be like, ha ha? Yes.
That's the amazing thing. When we get to what did you see this week, I want to talk about that in relation to Iron Man 3, as I've watched every movie
Oh,
this week.
you got to
That's what I
prepare.
watched this
Yeah,
week.
prepare.
Got prepared. Still getting prepared. But there's something really interesting. Iron Man 3 might be like the second best Marvel movie after watching it the third time. But
What?
yeah,
All right.
It's
I saw it
much-
twice. I liked
It's
it.
much
it.
better than each time than I remember the previous time. It gets better and better and better. You need to watch it again.
I do, because I watched Iron Man twice, and I loved it more the second time.
Iron Man 3,
God, I love him.
so good.
I wanted to have sex with Guy Pearce. I'll tell you that much.
By
Does
the way,
that guy have been slicker,
oh yeah,
handsome,
all right, great villain.
studly? Yeah.
By the way, I gotta say before we move on, I've been quite restrained here. This is incredible that we are on the verge of a second Avengers movie. I've discussed very normally, but I'm jumping up and down as I watch all these movies.
It is insane.
My roommate is so tired of me saying, because I get this realization every time, and it's a big no duh. Yeah, they made an Iron Man movie. But as I'm watching Iron Man, I still have the same feeling I had in 2008 or that I had in like 1989 with Batman or whatever. Like, holy crap, they made an Iron Man movie. And my roommate's like, yeah, no shit, there's a second Avengers. I go, yeah, but it's impossible that they would have even made this. Or the Captain America and Thor. Like, the fact that they made those, that's just ridiculous.
When you first heard they were going to try and pull all the characters together, it's like,
Good
no way.
luck!
Yeah.
Good luck! Nobody can even make a decent Batman movie more than once in a row.
Yeah.
You know, like, good luck. You're going to do Thor and Captain America? I mean, I know who they are, but who's going to give a shit who those two guys are?
Captain
you know?
America never seemed like a risk to me.
Oh, come on. That's so
yeah.
good. They can't do Superman. They can't do goody-goody. The idea that he's this, like... I mean, who Captain America is as a person?
But Captain
has
America
never
had
been
more.
captured.
People were more aware of him, and the idea of him is
Yeah.
very easy. He's a super soldier who loves America. That's
Yeah.
really easy. Hey, you remember some Norse mythology and mullets and a hammer? Like
exactly.
Thor is the one that's like. I think the
Yeah,
Thor,
definitely.
the fact that the Thor movie just was not bad is what made Marvel.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
they once everybody bought into this is how ludicrous it can be, then they're kind of set.
Well, that's the big Marvel thing, too. They made Iron Man, which, of course, at the time, people were like, oh, who's this obscure character? With which actor? Boy, good luck, Marvel. These smart critics. But, of course, he was a brilliant choice. He was, and that storytelling was a brilliant choice. And when I saw Iron Man, I was like, that's the potential of these movies. You go watch, like, Batman Returns, and you're like, what are you doing? What is anybody thinking? Is anybody putting any thought into this? You've got Batman, 100 years of comic books, and this is what you did? It bears no relation to anything? And nobody said anything throughout the development process? But you look at Iron Man and you go, yeah, that's what happens to that character. And that's the potential drama that's possible in it. And then they kept doing that over and over and over with all the other characters.
I ask you this, Adam, because I don't know the comic books. I want to know, do you think that assisted the comic book telling of the story, the fact that the war is the way it is today? because they were able to take Iron Man and put it really modernly set in war
Well,
today.
no, I think that's just because you just don't want to set it in Vietnam and have him be 65 or whatever. I think they just needed to modernize it because of his age. But no, what really changed it was the fact that imagine there's a guy who makes army ammunitions who one day finds out the morality of living that legacy.
Well, isn't that kind of like what the United States did when we gave arms to people then who eventually used them against us?
We learned a lesson? No, I don't think we did.
No, I guess
try.
I just say I see a parallel with that because like Bin Laden was using our own weapons against us.
Yeah, I don't think that is.
Yeah, no.
I think that is a not at all subtle thing going on
Right?
in the first Iron
That's
Man.
what I guess
Yeah.
I was
True.
saying. I think
That's
that
true.
they used that
Yeah,
to
no.
make me really like Iron Man because I'm like, I understand what you're talking about. I connected to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
And despite our goof that you only knew these actors from the romantic comedies, you love Robert Downey Jr. and
do,
and
yeah.
guys like him that cross over to
Other
All
people
other
like me who
demographics.
normally wouldn't see these movies,
Yeah.
but I went because everybody else was going. And I wanted to see Robert Downey Jr. again because he hadn't done anything for a long time that I wanted to see. And he was great. And I loved it.
And that's a really interesting point, too, because now there's a lot of pressure on Marvel to do female heroes because these have all been men. And they're developing Ms. Marvel. They're developing
Captain Marvel.
Or Captain Marvel, yes.
Is that a woman?
Yes.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah. And they're developing Jessica Jones for Netflix, and they've got a couple other things in the pipeline. And then, of course, Wonder Woman. DC wants to do Wonder Woman. But the thing is, the appeal of Robert Downey Jr. is huge to women, not just because he's cute. It's because he's just this well-rounded character. So it's interesting. I don't think you'd go see Captain Marvel, but you would definitely see Iron Man 4.
Yeah, because I want to go see a hot dude.
Yeah,
But
okay. All right,
you
I
would
guess it-
if it was an actress that you knew playing
If-
Captain Marvel, which it will be,
If it's Sandra Bullock, or
it will be Sandra Bullock.
I would see it. And if it was Reese Witherspoon, I'd see it. I'd also see it if it's
Melissa McCarthy.
no,
Be
Julia
hilarious.
Roberts.
But there's obviously
I
a
guess,
line
yeah.
because you didn't go see Demolition Man for Sandra Bullock. But
No, that's true. That's true.
no, it's before she was.
That's true.
All right. Oh, and we always love to welcome new sound effects. You tell me if this is new or not, but when trailers go nuts with the
okay.
sound effects, it's always fun. So now
Somewhere
Avengers
Jamie Kennedy is rolling over in his.
Age of Ultron has this. I guess that's the same as it's not quite a bwong,
That's,
but it's,
Yeah, it's like a Blom aftershock. I mean, it is like an evolution of it because it tricks you. Because at first it just sounds like loud noise,
Right.
but then it's got the sneaky vibration. Sneaky. Like this, it's got like a little fart of vibrato.
It's like a
Blom
blong is in a mirror. I see what you're saying. It's a reflection of itself.
Yeah,
Fart Barato.
all right. Well, listen, the
What's
Avengers
his superpower?
Fort Brado.
pretty obvious. Singing Volare from his ass.
The Avengers are state-of-the-art superheroes, but we're talking about how they tie them into modern stories and everything, but they do harken back to old-school comic book joy. In the spirit of Captain America, we were talking about this, when he
Yeah.
would show up in the middle of your comic book and tell you how great Hostess fruit pies are.
Oh, they fought all kinds of crime with fruit pies.
Funny.
Well, there are a host, a bevy, if you
A
will,
hostess?
of Avengers movie product tie-ins, as you can imagine. The best we've seen so far, the Age of Ultron costumes featuring Black Widow child wig and Tony Stark mustache and goatee, which you can buy for your kid. Little Tony Stark mustache and
If I
goatee.
had a kid, I would buy that for him.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
The worst we've seen, that H with an arrow pointing the logo that Hillary Clinton is using for a presidential campaign. Total Avengers ripoff. I don't know if
H
you've
with
seen
an arrow?
it.
Is
It
that
has
for
an arrow,
Hawkeye?
and the H is
Like
spelled like
Hawkeye?
the A arrow.
You know what? Maybe that's her move. She may not be all that stupid.
That's true.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah.
Harrowing.
But I think we can all agree there's something awesome about Kellogg's Avengers Age of Ultron sweetened cereal with Avengers Team marshmallows.
Hey kids, now you too can save the Earth like the mighty Avengers.
Yay!
But unlike the Avengers, you can save the Earth from your very own breakfast table with the Avengers Age of Ultron-O'S.
All right.
Boring cereals have met their match because the Avengers Age of Ultron-O'S cereal contains glazed toasted oat pieces with marshmallow heroes, Lucky Charms, but with a hit movie, The Avengers, on the box.
All right. I buy it.
Assemble a complete breakfast with the Avengers Age of Ultron-O'S and help the Marshmallow Avengers defeat the unstoppable toasted oat cereal villainy of Ultron as he threatens to cover New York in milk and menace.
I'm not sure that's the plot.
I want to eat breakfast like Iron Man.
Well then, little girl, you're in luck because every box of Avengers Ultron-O'S contains your favorite marshmallow heroes. There's Iron Man's Yellow Moons,
Yay! Wait, what? What was that?
Thor's Blue Diamonds of Asgard,
All right, wait a minute. Did you just
Captain America's Orange Stars and Stripes.
orange? That's the one color Captain America doesn't wear.
And the Green Hulk's Lucky Clovers.
No, just no on that one.
And the pink heart for every heart that Black Widow has broken.
Wait, you mean murdered? She's an assassin who shoots people in the heart and deliberately kills them to death.
Wait. Pink hearts, yellow moons, blue diamonds, orange stars, green clovers. This is just Lucky Charms.
But with Avengers on the box.
We've been had!
That's why Galoob Foods offers you a choice. Avengers cereal for kids or Ultron Flakes for adults. Ultron Flakes are made with all-natural, organic, gluten-free, antioxidant, probiotic whole grains. So, like Ultron, you can belong to a superior race and look down upon your friends for eating garbage.
Come on, Kate. Let's eat the rest of that cereal that's just donuts and go play.
Yeah.
We also have cereal for poor kids whose parents can't afford the premium cereals. It comes in a bag instead of a box because we're guessing it's the box that costs so much. So, if you're not picky, try Batman vs. Superman Rings of Fruit. It's almost as good as Avengers.
Yummy.
Yeah, we got a sponsor.
That's good, finally.
Yay!
God.
All right. Well, listen, that
See,
was
potential sponsors, that's where it would go.
Yeah. We've only that one movie to cover this week, so we can skip right to guest time. The next section of our show is dedicated to our guest. Once again, a stand-up comic who has albums, books, podcast, obsessed on iTunes. So let's get to know Joseph Scrimshaw, everybody.
Yay! Thanks for the
Canned applause.
Canned applause. Yay!
What's the podcast about?
It's called Obsessed.
I love that title.
Yeah, so
I love obsession.
Yeah, I sense that about you.
Okay.
In a good way. I like obsessed people.
Yeah, sometimes it comes down to that. I'm just like, I just like obsession. Like, that's why I'm watching Marvel movies all week. I'm like, I like obsessing on it. It's so great.
Yeah. So I interview people about things that they like, and I ask them, for something not that they just like, but something that they're obsessed with.
Yeah.
Something that maybe it crosses the line just a little bit of like, is this entirely a good thing? Do I ever like...
You're in the right room.
Go a little bit too far with what I'm interested in. And I like that because I'm a very obsessive person.
Yeah. It's fun, right? You
Yeah.
get to dedicate yourself to something. And yes, unless you're an insane person, none of us are insane, we realize, look, I'm going too far. I'm having a staged reading of Ghostbusters in my living room because I like Ghostbusters so much. I know I'm going too far.
Oh, I
I'm going
did
to
that for
enjoy
my birthday.
all of it. Yeah,
But
exactly.
the question to me on the podcast is things like, in doing that, were you using it to avoid something else, or did you skip something that you would have otherwise wanted to do?
Oh, no, it was my birthday party. I contacted
exactly
everyone
what you
ahead
wanted,
of
right?
time.
Yeah.
Yep. Everyone had to come in character and play their parts. Everyone was on time. And it was very
Yeah, so I try to be supportive on the podcast. I don't think that's too far. Like, there are people who've like myself who I spent more money than I should have. Like, I spent my actual student loan money on action figures, and now I'm still paying student loans back, where I could have just turned around and given that money back to the school.
So you're
We have a lot in common.
OCD more than obsessed.
No, that's not OCD. That's obsession. OCD
That's
would
just
be
what an OCD person would say.
they would need to say it 4 times in the exact same way.
Like you
It's
cut
not
your
the same
face.
thing at all.
It's developing a healthy amount of self-hatred in all these action figures that can stare back at you. And
Well, I
make you feel
had great
guilty.
joy at the time, but to me, it's that thing about like it's Wile E. Coyote running across the edge of the cliff, and you have that moment of you look down and go, you might drop. Otherwise, you can just quietly get back on the ledge and be safe. That's
I don't know
That's
if-
obsession to me.
I don't. Not that you've ever asked, but I don't know if I could actually be a guest on your show unless you count the obsession I have with what that noise my neighbor is making. What is that noise through the wall?
I would have you.
I'm
I
obsessed
would have somebody on the
with
podcast to
what
talk about
are you
that.
doing on the other side of my apartment
So
wall?
the guy used to be upstairs.
Yeah.
Now you've moved,
Wait,
and
the
it's
new
a
place?
person on another.
It's the guy upstairs.
Because the guy upstairs.
Like,
is
what
making-
was he doing? Can I be obsessed with that, Joseph?
You're
I am
obsessed with
absolutely.
stuff like that all week long.
Well, see,
You've
this
got
is-
so many.
So yeah,
items.
so I
I'm
would
obsessed with
probably
other
ask you
people
about
bothering me.
noises.
Yes.
Like, is it noises that you're obsessed with? Is it
Noises.
wondering what's going on near you?
I have to know
You
what's
need to
making
know
the
what's
noise.
going on near you.
Yes.
But why? What
Because
would
I
you do
wanna
with the
know-
information if your neighbor knocked on
don't-
your door
that-
and is just like, I'm not building anything, I'm just drilling metal for fun?
Then I would go, oh, okay, I understand what's happening, and I can kind of give it a time frame of when it'll end.
Could negotiate that.
Yeah, and I could say, okay, this makes sense. And, but that noise, I have no idea what that noise is.
Yeah.
I've never made that noise in my apartment.
I'm drilling metal frames. I love it. That's what I do.
Just what I
8
do.
p.m.
When I lived in Chicago in Lakeview on 618 West Patterson, above us there used to be the sound that I swear we sat around and tried to figure out what it was. It sounded like someone dropped a bowling ball, and then that bowling ball would roll down.
You know what
the
that was, Adam?
hallway. Well, I found out what it was.
You did, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Skateboard.
Skateboard.
Jumping on the skateboard and then rolling down the hallway. But it sounded like someone dropped their bowling ball that they'd maybe been playing with. And then it rolled down the hall.
I was
How
visiting when that
did you
happened.
figure out? Did you go up
I
there?
ran up real quick as soon as I heard the sound. I go, I'm going to go find out what it is. I ran up, I knocked on the door, and I go, what just happened?
One might say you're obsessed.
And I was obsessed.
What just
That's exactly how I said it. I go, what just happened? Something just made a sound. It just got dropped on your floor. What is it? And then a kid came rolling down the hallway on the skateboarding. I was like, that's what's rolling down the hall.
And did the noise still annoy you when you heard it?
Yes. They annoyed me the whole time. They're a terrible band as well.
Yeah.
I heard as part of the Disneyland episode that you
Yeah.
did. Who was the girl you had on?
Kristen Rutherford.
Yes, and she was obsessed with Disneyland. Now, at the beginning,
People
you
do.
introduced the episode, though, saying that you're skeptical of Disney, but you can no longer be because all of your favorite things
They
are
own
contained under their
everything now.
banner.
Yeah,
Star
yeah.
Wars and Marvel. And
Yeah,
all
I
that.
didn't like them when I was growing up because I never liked Mickey Mouse, and just Disney always felt kind of like cutesy to me, and like I liked the older films like from the 30s or 40s because they were still like a little scary and had some edge to them. But then as I was growing up in the late 80s, early 90s, it was all just cute time all the time,
Oh, yeah.
and
They
I
got
did not
into
like that.
So bringing it back around to this week's movie, do you think Disney didn't start with Marvel? Even the Marvel Universe started in wherever Iron Man was made Paramount, I think. And
Yeah.
the Hulk was Universal, and
Yeah.
Thor was also Paramount, I think. But it all has come now under
Yeah.
Disney's banner. You think they're still handling it well? Doing
I
all
think
right?
so. I think they're handling it really well when they silo it and just leave it alone. I feel like the two times I've like sensed the sort of icky treacle fingers of Disney is the beginning of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., like the beginning of the TV show. It felt kind of happy and Disney and safe and just like some chums who are going out and getting in trouble every once in a while and shucks, everything will be fine. And it felt like a Disney show from like the 90s. In the beginning of Rebels had that feeling a little bit too, like everything was too cute and safe. But I think in both those instances, Disney was worried, got involved, and then backed away a little bit.
Now, S.H.I.E.L.D.'s improved from what I've heard. I don't watch that show.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
But I hear it's
much
gone
so.
quite
Yeah, the
better.
actors are great. It started off really, really safe and just kind of episode of the week, and then it started to actually develop the characters and build.
I only recently saw the Marvel one-shot of Agent Carter.
Yeah.
Is that a good show?
It's
Is that something
great.
Karen and I should be watching? Agent Carter was Captain America's girl. And he,
But now
went
she's
into the ice
but
and he
she's the
froze and he
first-
woke up in the modern days. She's still back
No.
there having
She's the
adventures.
Nick Fury of the 40s. She's
Yeah, here's the
first
thing.
S.H.I.E.L.D. agent.
Robert Downey Jr. is not going to show up, right?
Okay, again, I guess that's super.
No,
No,
but Dum
but
Dum
they-
Dugan will.
Dum Dum Dugan does show up, and Jarvis, the actual human Jarvis,
Oh, the
that
human
later
Jarvis.
becomes
You know-
apparently the robot that Tony
I-
Stark talks to.
I would watch the female Avengers we had on the show last week. I would watch that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Agent Carter is great. It's a great show in every way. I mean, it's a great feminist piece of
Uh-huh.
media, which I think is really necessary and important right now. But even ignoring that, it's just really great. It's a time period piece. It's a great action piece. It's got the whole spirit of everything that makes the Marvel movies great.
I like that one shot. So I would watch more that she does, but I've yet to watch the show.
Paul just discovered the one-shots, by the way. You sent the email. I
Yeah.
didn't respond to it. Yes, they're fantastic. You know what the best one-shot is? And again, I just watched Iron Man 3. You've seen all the one-shots. A funny thing happened on the way to Thor's hammer. They're on all the DVDs for these things. But then they started... Well,
What's
They're
a
little-
one shot?
I don't know
Okay,
either.
so they're on the
I was hoping to get
DVDs.
some contextual
Oh,
explanation.
no, I just want to find out so I know what I'm listening
Okay,
to.
yeah, no. If you don't understand, then somebody out there doesn't understand.
Right?
Sure.
That's probably your mom.
No, the one shots
there.
are they're on all the DVDs of the Marvels, and a one shot in comic book terms is just a single issue. It just gives you one little story.
Oh, okay.
But in the DVD terms, it will do a story like Agent Coulson, and there's one thing called A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to Thor's Hammer, and at the end of one of the movies, they show Thor's hammer and Coulson is there, but then they do this little story of something that happened on the way there. And in Iron Man 3, spoilers for anybody who's not seen Iron Man 3,
Oh, yeah, the big spoil coming.
yeah, Ben Kingsley turns out to not be a terrorist. He's just an actor they hired to act like a terrorist on the TV. Very funny moment. However, as a comic book fan, I was like, hold on a second.
Yeah.
The Mandarin is a huge villain, and you've just blown it up. Now, I enjoyed it because it's played off very well in the movie, but speaking of obsession,
Yeah.
I leave the movie theater and immediately start to calculate in my mind, oh, well, perhaps there is still a Mandarin, and he took the name of the Mandarin. I created the
Your
entire
head
mythology,
canon, yeah.
which then on the DVD for, it must have been Thor, I think, Thor: The Dark World. They did a whole short in prison with Ben Kingsley, in which they do reveal that there is a real Mandarin, and they're going to kill him for taking his name.
The Mandarin is not happy with
Mandarin
what
is
has happened.
not happy with what happened in Iron
That's
Man.
Is there an
blatant
Iron Man
fan apology.
Is there an Iron Man one shot out there I need to see?
Well, he shows up a little bit in the one.
The consultant.
Yeah, but that's
It's
just
not
more
that great.
the end of Incredible Hulk clips.
Yeah.
Where he already shows up.
Because I saw the one where Iron Man gave the little boy an mechanical hand, and I
that
liked
was the
that one.
news.
Oh, that was the
That's the
news.
news.
Okay.
All right, enough out of you.
But in Iron Man
Reality.
3, he does give a little kid some shit, which is great.
Yeah.
He just gives him a bunch
He
of
really
shit.
does.
Took me a
Yes,
minute.
he gives them
Took me a
literal advice shit.
He gives
and then
them advice
also
shit.
stuff.
The
All right,
best-
so Joseph, give me the movie you obsess on the most. Your favorite movie of all time.
Favorite movie of all time is an absurd question to me. I can't answer that. But
and every guest we've ever had. But certainly there's one that you like.
Sure. I'm enough of a geek that I have to caveat that because I don't ever want to get tweets of like, how could you have one favorite movie that's that? Like, I love Empire Strikes Back, but Hot Fuzz is a movie that I watch a lot and obsess on, and I think there's plenty to be dug around in there in
It's
in
fun
Hot
to
Fuzz.
watch.
Yeah, it's incredibly funny. It's incredibly detailed. It's while being funny, it has like really deep themes and ideas that I think a lot of people don't necessarily appreciate in there.
And it obsesses, too. That's a movie that
It is.
obsesses on pop culture.
It obsesses on pop culture, and it's kind of about obsession. It is
Yeah.
about both the good guy and the bad guy learning that having complete control over the situation is not the best way to live life.
Yeah.
and I believe there's a Paul Freeman sighting, right? Who's
Yes.
In my
Belloc?
favorite movie of all time. Yeah.
Belloc?
Yeah.
Is
Plays
he
the
in
old
that?
priest in that.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Pretty sure.
There's a James Bond. What's his face? There's a James Bond is in that movie.
Is Dalton in that?
Yeah,
Oh,
Timothy Dalton.
Dalton,
he's,
yeah.
he's amazing, and he's extra great in the blooper reel. If you have the DVD of Hot Fuzz, there is a great moment where he screws up and then just has a very like British, very regal. Well, fuck me. It's beautiful.
Do you know this movie, Karen? Hot Fuzz?
I do.
We'll have to watch
I
it.
think I'd like
would
it.
like
It's
it.
got a
It's
bunch of the guys.
Got your boyfriend Simon Pegg.
Simon Pegg in it.
Yeah.
I'd like that.
Yeah, it's great.
What's
What
the
are
one I'm thinking of
Put
from
it
the
on the
70s?
list.
Isn't there another Hot Fuzz?
Oh,
Super Fuzz.
Super Fuzz, thank you.
Thinking of Super Fuzz.
I knew there was a Fuzz movie.
Oh my God!
I
Directed
love
by
how
Sergio
that's what you're
Corbucci.
thinking of.
Yes.
You're thinking of Super Fuzz.
Well, because when Hot Fuzz came out, I'm like, I've already seen this movie. This is hilarious.
Adam, I have a
wrong
question.
movie.
You're so the parent that's like, I'm gonna go watch Star Wars. Oh, it's on TV. That's Star Trek. Whatever, you kids.
Same
watch it. Sit down and watch it.
Same
So,
thing.
Adam, do I put Hot Fuzz before or after King Pow Enter the Fist?
Kung Pao.
I would watch Kung Pao first. for
Okay,
you.
I messed that up. All right.
I know Karen.
King Pow's the restaurant.
Thank you. All right,
Delicious,
I got it.
delicious slippery shrimp over King Pao. Have you had that?
Slowly but
slippery.
surely, Joseph, we're building Karen's viewing list.
Right.
Okay.
She can get
King
caught
Pao.
up here.
What's
Do you
his
get like?
superpower?
Do you pick a movie each podcast you do to watch? Or are you behind?
I'm behind. People just throw them at me. I'm way behind because people are like, watch this. And I have Casablanca, Reservoir Dogs, Annie Hall.
Yeah, those all seem like good
Yeah,
good
but-
movies.
Schizopolis?
No.
Eddie Jemison told me to
Kung
watch
Pao
that.
first. Put Kung Pao first.
I
think
have that
for
one up
you,
near the top.
For you, that's going to knock it out of the park.
Seems like old times from Adam.
That also you will like. You will
Chevy
like that
Chase.
one.
You gonna run with
And dogs. There's like 10 dogs in that movie.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
that? Now, Joseph, this Casablanca, I think, is Karen's movie jail. That's our term for a movie that you should have seen by now,
Yeah.
but you haven't. Do you have one of
Yeah,
those?
I haven't seen Annie Hall.
That's movie jail.
Yeah, I think that's
But then
movie
again,
jail.
it beat Star Wars for Best Picture, so
Yeah, so
kind of fucked that movie.
Yeah, fully. Yeah. Well, the bummer for me is like I had it on my Netflix queue and I was ready to watch it, and then all these stuff came out about Woody Allen being, truly a monster. Like we had kind of played around with the idea of him being a monster, and then the woman came and said, "No, really, for sure, really, he's a monster." And I'm kind of like, I don't know if I want to watch Woody Allen.
It's been
That's
kind of like
interesting.
Michael Jackson. Like the movie, his music was good, and then he had some problems. Right, the music started to suck, and you're like, that guy's a fucking child molester.
But no amount of child molesting can make me not listen to Thriller. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah.
There's really like
That's true.
no amount of Mel Gibson whatever can make me dislike
Can you
Lethal
hit the-
Weapon.
can you
I
hit-
have to divide the line.
No number of sugar tits is going to get me not to watch.
Right? Yeah.
So can you watch any? You can't watch any Woody Allen catalog.
Yeah, I'm giving it some thought. Like I just feel like we're in this weird cultural place where we decided like, yeah, the whole world is done with Bill Cosby, and everybody's like, we're gonna let Woody Allen slide.
I like what you're saying because I have a problem with Roman Polanski.
Yeah, and that's
I had-
that's a
like,
similar
when
thing
he
too.
won an Academy for the pianist, or the pianist, right? And Brody gets up there and
Insert
talks about
Holocaust movie.
how what an honor it was to work with this guy. I'm like, this guy sodomized a 13-year-old girl who was unconscious.
Yeah.
Oh well, but he does make good movies.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it's a weird cultural conversation, but this, particularly for Woody Allen, it's like all of his films are basically like I'm neurotic and I want to have sex constantly. So it's yeah, it's harder to ignore with Woody Allen for me.
I remember I worked in a movie theater right when the Woody Allen thing happened, and we had booked Husbands and Wives, and it was like, oh, I don't know, it's so controversial. It's like, nobody's going to Husbands and Wives, and I went in and I was like, this movie is so great that I just don't care. Like, I just didn't care at that point. I was like, this movie's awesome.
That movie was really good.
That movie's awesome.
Yeah,
right?
he's kind of Star Trek-y. Every other movie's good nowadays.
Yeah, I
So-
loved him like in the 90s when he kind of had a little bit of a revival and was putting out a movie every 2 years. I loved all those movies at the time. I haven't rewatched any of them, like Bullets Over Broadway and that
Crimes
whole
and
era.
Misdemeanors. Also
Yeah,
good.
I really, really love those.
Yeah.
Are you adding or removing movies, Karen?
I'm adding Husbands
Okay.
and Wives.
Much to
seems
the
like-
protestation of Joseph and myself.
Kung Pao first. Husbands and Wives is awesome.
All right, speaking of... Wait,
But watch Annie Hall first.
let's go to Joseph's stand-up for a second. I want to play a little clip here where you're talking about Netflix, because, hey, it's comedy about movies.
Hell
I also like Netflix's incredibly bizarre, specific categories for things like action movies that are also horny, but they take place in Canada, and Office Place romances with the word corn in them, and Amish murder mysteries that don't have Harrison Ford. I'm like, is that? I didn't even know, I want Netflix to start actually naming films with that sort of weird descriptive yet somehow still accurate style. Like, I see that you just watched Jennifer Lawrence shoots people with arrows. Perhaps you'd also enjoy Kristen Stewart makes a weird face. Maybe you'd enjoy Tom Hanks is likable again. Maybe you'd like Bilbo Baggins dicks around for 3 hours.
All right, no jokes. You big on the Lord of the Rings?
Part 1.
Yeah, right.
Sleeper joke. I really liked the Lord of the Rings, and I have not watched any of the Hobbit movies. I have zero interest.
Really?
Yeah.
They won't arouse much more.
Yeah, I didn't think that.
Like, watching them is about equivalent to not being that interested in them.
Or mildly annoyed by the frame rate. Right?
Yeah.
Go to this long, boring movie that offends every Tolkien fan you know and be mildly annoyed by the frame rate. That was basically
and have a seizure.
the pitch to me. I mean, just the hubris of, it's just always, it's a bummer to watch somebody who's doing a really good job spin out of control. And I felt like we were watching Peter Jackson spin out of control.
Yeah.
Of, Lord of the Rings was too successful and nobody could pull him back. And just it would have been awesome if it was one solid Hobbit movie.
Yeah, it would have made a great single movie or a pretty good 2 movies. But $1 trillion, how many do you make?
I love that book. I love that book more than I like the actual Lord of the Rings books. So
But can
I
you
just
bring
really
yourself
wanted
to pass
see
up
that
$1
story.
trillion? That's the trouble with that. That's why there's 3.
Yeah, well, that for the studio that matters, but for
Yeah.
Peter Jackson,
Yeah.
that the money does not make a difference at this point.
Yeah, well, yeah, he just probably can't get past that argument when the studio's like, look, we've made $1 trillion with each of these. How many would you like us to
Yeah,
make?
he tried to hand them off,
For
right?
the-
But
yeah,
Guillermo. Yeah,
I do have a question about the observation you made in your stand-up.
Yeah.
Because I don't have the Netflix. So do they...
he doesn't watch movies.
Have they not figured out the code that you're supposed to use of you just add the word wild in front of it? Wild
Maybe.
comedy, wild remember in Blockbuster, if there was tits in it, they just put the word wild in front of the category.
Yeah.
And that just meant there's fucking going on.
I'm
Wild
gonna
comedy.
go out on a limb and say Netflix algorithms are slightly more advanced
Oh, okay.
than the 14-year-old horn dogs who used to write wild
wild in
on
front
things in
No,
Blockbuster.
It'd say wild drama or wild comedy or wild act.
Wild
action.
documentary,
Wild
yeah.
action just meant
Action
there's-
or wild action.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, I think the algorithms are really smart.
Yeah.
I think they sound ridiculous to us, but behind the scenes, Netflix is like, go ahead and make fun of it
You're renting it.
because we are learning so much about you.
their algorithms have gotten better, but there was one time when, and I remember this, I watched something like Saturday Night Live, and it said, "Would you like Saturday Night Fever?" And I'm like, I don't just like movies with Saturday in the title. How about Any Given Sunday? No, that's not. I'm not watching because I could really go for a movie with the word Tuesday in the title.
My favorite thing about the Netflix queue right now, if you have a lot of things in your queue, like I do, if you go through them really quickly, the image won't catch up with the title, so you can get really great mashups for like the image based not matching what the actual title is.
Nice.
Like, yeah, I had some Charlie Brown thing, and I went through it really quickly, and it ended on a picture of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So I said, the Charlie Brown Christmas special with a picture of Coulson. I was like, that's kind of appropriate.
Paul used to work at Blockbuster, and he was a human algorithm. People would come in, and he would like, so what are you in the mood for? Well, comedy, but not too dark. I'd like Robert De Niro in it. Maybe Bill Murray.
That was the best thing about working in a video store, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Was like sussing out like exactly what they would like your list there.
So you became encyclopedic.
Bill Murray,
right?
Robert De Niro say, do you like Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer? Mad Dog and Glorious.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Shivers and Milk.
Shivers and Milk. That's a great cop team.
But didn't he order Shivers and Milk in that movie, in Mad Dog and Glory? I can never figure out what that drink was. Was it scotch with milk in it?
I've never seen it, but I can tell you
you've
that's
never
not
seen
movie
it?
jail.
I've seen it. I've seen that.
That's
I
not
liked
movie
it.
jail.
Yeah, Bill Murray's tough in it.
Yeah.
Is there a
He's a bad
movie?
guy.
Is there an opposite of movie jail where you should be ashamed of knowing too much about a movie?
Oh.
Yeah, very
Movie
shitty
day camp?
question.
Movie daycare, daycare.
Yeah.
Movie Asylum. Right?
Movie Asylum.
Because you're
Lock
crazy.
you up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Movie
Yeah.
Obsession.
Nuts.
Yeah, we'll spin off the podcast.
Obsession Asylum.
All right, well, let's get to your involvement with Riff Tracks.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
So
did you know the guys, or did you not know the guys and get yourself in?
Now,
on
for the
your
audience, for anybody who doesn't know, Riff Tracks was a spin-off, basically.
is
A spin-off of Mystery Science Theater 3000. That there was a couple different crews on that show, and some went and created Riff Tracks, including who's the
it's Michael J. Nelson, Bill Corbett, and Kevin Murphy.
Okay, and then the others did something called Cinematic Titanic.
Yeah, for a little while. Cinematic Titanic is all wrapped up.
Okay, but Riff Tracks is going all the time, like new movies.
Yep.
They'll be doing Furious 7, and I mean they do like you know, they do all these modern movies.
They started mostly selling MP3s of modern movies,
Okay.
and now they're doing more video on demand. They're getting back to doing like kind of classic weird things like they used to do on Mystery Science Theater, so that they can get the rights and they can just package it and sell it as one thing. And then they've been doing all these Kickstarters that are massively successful to get the money to just straight up pay studios to let them riff films. And then they do them live somewhere, but then they're simulcast across the nation. So May 6th, I don't know when this podcast is coming out. Soon, I would imagine.
So,
but May 6th, they're doing The Room. And
excellent.
they've riffed The Room before as
That's awesome.
we don't need the rights because we just record an MP3, and you go get The Room, and then you play your MP3. That was their original model when they kind of started as an online thing around 2006, 2007. But now they're at the point where they're making enough money. They just went to Tommy Wiseau and said, how much money, Tommy? Because we'll do a Kickstarter, and then we will get the rights with your permission to do The Room, and then we'll later sell The Room with our riff on it. And he's weird enough. It's like, oh, all right.
Yeah, that is
Yeah.
Tommy Wiseau.
You know
That's amazing.
they're remaking The Room, a story of him. The making of the
They
room.
are.
James Franco's
James
playing.
Franco's
Yeah.
playing him.
Yeah.
It's so crazy.
Yeah. Down the rabbit hole.
It's it's called The Disaster Artist,
Wow.
which is a great title.
Yeah, because is that Greg Sestero's book?
Yeah.
One of the guys from The Room? Yeah, so it's based on his book, right?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
But for my involvement, I lived in Minneapolis for a long time. I've only been in LA for about a year.
Oh,
And I
cool.
did a lot of sketch and improv comedy and theater stuff. And I eventually met Bill doing that because Bill has a background in theater, and we became friends and started doing a lot of stuff together.
Did you work at the Brave New Workshop?
I did a little bit at the Brave New Workshop. It sounds like you must know.
Yeah,
the
we worked with
institution.
them for Disney. They hired us to
Oh, cool.
work on the ships.
Nice, yeah. No, I only ever did a little bit with Brave New Workshop. They scouted me very early in my comedy career and passed me over. I was like, okay, well, screw you then. But then I've known many friends who've worked there, and I've
That's
done a couple
cool.
things there. And the last thing I did there was they actually did a play honoring Dudley Riggs, their creator, and I played Dudley Riggs. So
Oh,
it was
that's
great
fun. That
yeah.
is fun.
Can you give us insight, or is it ancient Chinese secret, onto the process of Riff Tracks, how the jokes are called and put together?
Yeah, how many times do you guys watch it? Do you watch it all together? Or?
You can. I don't write for them anymore. I wrote them for
Okay.
a little while, basically as a sort of pressure relief thing. At this point, they have like a set collection of contributing writers. So the way it'd work is they'll divide a movie up, and people will individually on their own take a first crack at it.
Oh,
and then they'll
cool.
start to bring the script together, and they'll iron it out. Like one of the first movies that I worked on, I had 5 minutes of Terminator, the Christian Bale Terminator. And it was right after he had his big yelling at the camera guy. So like that movie had been divided up. So like I think like 4 or 5 people were writing on it, and every 5 minutes there was a Christian Bale yelling inappropriately jokes. That kind of thing of like, well, we know that. We know, so we're just going to go through and we're going to pick our favorite Christian Bale yelling jokes.
Right.
Yeah, so it's basically just doing little bits and pieces, and then putting it all together. And then sometimes they sit down and watch the whole thing together, and other times it's just like, no, we got it. We'll go and record.
What is the copyright first? Well, so they did the MP3, so they didn't have to get the rights to the movies. But now they're looking to retain the rights, so that then you can put it out as a DVD, and it's all together.
And it's mostly downloads.
Yeah,
obviously, because the whole dead media thing.
Yeah.
So they're buying the rights to things at this point.
Yeah.
And they're continuing in an amazing way to unearth weird, horrible stuff that's like right in line with the sort of tradition of Mystery Science Theater.
Classic Mystery Science Theater.
There's like 2010, they did something like Santa and the Ice Cream Bunny, which is an absolutely demonic, freakish thing. And it's like, how can there be this many people obsessed with like horrible old movies? And we haven't discovered that. They're doing a great job at
that's one thing
discovering
they're out there.
Horrible shit.
Yeah.
Mystery Science Theater 3000 did kick off a big love of bad movies, and I'd always kind of liked bad movies, but it really taught you how to love bad movies, So it really opened up the world of loving every movie, like once you'd see Mystery Science Theater 3000. So, and one of the most amazing things is just how many movies exist. Like the amount of movies that exist will never stop astounding me in my lifetime. It is just endless.
Yeah.
How many movies? Because that's one place where you're just like, where did this come from? I thought I knew everything.
There's a Legend of Boggy Creek 2.
Yeah,
there is.
And it's a big thing for them that the riffing is not a statement that this is a bad movie. Yeah. And like they did Casablanca. They did an MP3 of Casablanca because they got sick of people just being like, this is a declaration that the movie is horrible.
Yeah.
And the idea is, riffing is often to a bad movie, but it's also just like a different perspective, taking things out of context. Like I did some writing on Return of the King, which I think is a great movie, but there was still plenty to like poke fun at.
Yeah.
And it was not a statement that this movie is awful. It's just funny because it's from a different point of
No,
view.
if you can riff on a movie or make fun of a movie, it technically is an enjoyable movie. You're enjoying that movie, more than you realize.
Yeah.
Like that movie is a pleasure to watch.
Well, we gave it a go here. We're going to try now some riff tracks.
Oh, this would be fun.
Comedy bits.
Comedy bits.
For some of the summer movies and even reflect back on one of the bigger hits of the spring. So Karen and I, we're going to do a riff tracks here to a scene from the upcoming Jurassic World. Now, this is when I guess they used to go out together. Bryce Dallas Howard and Chris Pratt are talking about what Chris Pratt's role is going to be in taking care of the dinosaurs. So here we go.
Just went and made a new dinosaur?
Well, you see a mosquito gets caught in amber. Do I have to go over this all again?
The exhibit opens to the public in 3 weeks. Mr. Mizrani wanted me to consult with you.
Listen, Jessica Chastain.
Consult here or in my bungalow?
That's what he said.
You keep using that word. I do not think it means what you think it means.
A little funny.
We'd like you to evaluate the paddock for vulnerabilities.
Why me?
300 million domestic gross for Guardians of the Galaxy, perhaps?
Yes. Mr. Mizrani thinks since you're able to control the raptors...
If you know what I
It's all
mean.
about control with you. I don't control the raptors. It's a relationship. It's based on mutual respect.
Here's your problem. You're trying to control dinosaurs. You've been trying to do it for 3 movies. It just doesn't work.
Excuse me, I never wanted a second date.
Prints out an itinerary for a night out.
I'm an organized person.
What kind of a diet doesn't allow tequila?
Whiskey diet?
All of them, actually. And what kind of a man shows up to a date in board shorts?
Don Ho?
Central America, it's hot.
Okay. Can we just focus on the asset, please?
Been doing that since you arrived, babe.
Look, I get it. You're in charge out here. You got to make a lot of tough decisions. It's probably easier to pretend these animals are just numbers on a spreadsheet. You might have made them in a test tube, but they don't know that. They're thinking, I got to eat. I got to hunt.
I got a feeling that tonight's going to be a good night.
There you go. So that's Jurassic World.
Right on.
Kind of what that would be like. Right?
I love it.
Hey, we'd be doing that at home on our couch. Might as well do it here.
Absolutely.
All right.
Well, that was the great thing
here's
about it.
one for your heart. Tom Cruise coming out with a new movie.
Good.
Awesome.
So in this week's edition of Cruise News, we do the riff tracks Mission Impossible Rogue Nation.
Sweet.
The IMF is uniquely trained and highly motivated.
How'd they get so motivated? Scientology.
Specialist without equal, immune to any countermeasures.
Much like the Church of Scientology.
It is an agency of chaos.
Much like the Church of Scientology.
The time has come to dissolve the IMF. Now I want you to choose your next words very carefully.
I love you. No, like you. Sorry, not careful.
Where's Hunt?
Feel free to choose your sound effects indiscriminately.
How come the CIA has never discovered any intel regarding this syndicate.
You want the polite answer or the truth?
You can't handle the truth! The CIA doesn't know about the syndicate because it wasn't talked about on a cell phone by an American.
We've never met before, right?
That's right, Tom. You've never met David Miscavige. Keep rehearsing that.
It's impossible.
Maybe you've heard that's kind of my thing.
How do you know we can trust her? Desperate times.
Make it Santori time.
Oh my God!
And there goes Tom back to his home planet. Everybody wave!
Bye, Tom!
Bye, Tom! Bye, Tom!
Come back again.
All right, there he goes.
Fun. Right on.
That was good.
This is fun.
Let's keep going then. Riff
Good
tracks.
excuse to do this.
Mad Max Fury Road.
Ooh.
All right, here, let's fire this one up, Adam.
In this wasteland, I am the one who runs from both the living and the dead.
And believe me, running from the dead is a whole lot easier. All right, what's going on, Paul?
I'm sorry, it seems that that's all the dialogue that's in the entire movie of Mad Max Fury Road. So really, we can't do many more riff tracks, really. So
Make some jokes about sand.
it's like a 2-hour car chase after that, I think.
The rest is...
All right, Joseph, let's hit Furious 7, biggest
All
movie of the
right.
year. $1 billion.
Nice.
Until Avengers opens.
And so, yeah, right? Here we go.
You remember Owen Shaw?
Not ringing a bell. Were cars involved?
The one we tore half of London down trying to get. Well, this is his big bad brother.
Look, I'm Vin Diesel. You're going to have to be more specific.
Kind of a unique asset that no government would ever admit to employing.
Sarah Palin?
How do I find him?
Grinder?
The official answer is you don't.
And credits.
This concludes the Fast and Incurious.
Killed Han.
Oh, he's not dead. He's just in carbonite. A lot of people get confused by that.
He also tried to put me in a body bag too. Which is why when I get out, I'm gonna put a hurt on him so bad he's gonna wish his mama had kept her legs closed.
You're gonna punch his mom's
But
legs?
until then, my official answer to you is stand down.
I'm still lost. Is this because we fought the guy in Tokyo Drift? Because I didn't see that one.
Which is why now I give you the brother-to-brother answer. You do whatever it is you gotta do.
Okay, it's settled. I'm doing
You
XXX2.
find that sumbitch. Just do me one favor. What's that?
Make sure I'm out of this shoulder cast by WrestleMania. There we go.
Riff tracks.
So many deep, vibrating man voices in that.
Very resonant. That's
you could
the
get a
most
massage.
resonant movie.
All right, let's get on to... What did you see this week? Don't have a whole lot of time for this, but want to get to what we saw this week because I know Karen's excited to talk about a movie.
I am. Paul and I, we watched The Rewrite.
The Rewrite.
Oh my God.
Race L Rewrite.
We watched The Rewrite, and here's the thing. It was not released. It was just straight to video on demand kind of situation. And it had Hugh Grant.
It wasn't released, it escaped.
It escaped, slowly oozed out.
Like a raptor.
With Hugh Grant and Marissa Tomei, and it was great.
Yeah?
Really?
So good. It was so well acted and well cast and well written, and they didn't do cliche movie things. It's about Hugh Grant goes, and he wins an Oscar for being a screenwriter, but now it's been years since that's happened, and he's having difficulty getting any job, and so he's to the point where his agent, who's very cool character, shut up, his agent gets him a job teaching in our hometown almost, Binghamton, New York.
Yeah.
So he goes back to Binghamton where it's cold and miserable, and he does not want to go, but he needs a job, as we can all relate. And when he gets back there, he starts to readdress his life and realize that he's in his third act and he needs to rewrite where he's at in life. And he meets Marissa Tomei, who couldn't be more adorable and awesome. And it's so well written. There's none of the cliche stuff you think's going to happen where he's going to like steal someone else's script or something. He actually helps one of his students make it in Hollywood because the kid's really good. It's really shocking, amazing.
When was it made?
Well, this year. It was on our list of movies to come out, then suddenly it just instead went straight to VOD.
Huh.
And
It's
it's
so
just
good.
proof that the romantic comedy just can't find a hold anymore. It's a shame,
That's a genre that could be reinvented. That happens every once in a while. Someone comes out with a movie, they go, and it's just a whole new life. I mean, that's clearly one
I think
was
that
that's
really
such-
needs to be reinvented.
It was
yeah.
such a good movie.
There hasn't been one this year.
No.
So you got to go
Wasn't
online
the
to
last
find
big
it.
one like a bomb? what was the last big romantic comedy bomb? Because I seem to remember something bombing and then
Was
everybody
The
going
Neighbors like a romantic comedy?
No, that wasn't romantic.
Wow, romantic comedy
Well, they're
really is
married.
gone,
Yeah.
right?
And it was such a shame because I wish this
horror
had,
movies
at
were at one
least if
time.
they had released this at Valentine's Day, couples could have gone to the theater and seen it. They didn't even bother. But it's so good. I cried. It made me think differently about my life. It was a really solid movie.
It's Mark Lawrence, who made 2 Weeks Notice and one of the other Hugh Grant movies. They got a nice working relationship, and these movies are really palatable and has a really good ending.
Great ending.
Which is good. And
Yeah.
great supporting cast. J.K. Simmons is in there, and Allison Janney.
Yes, they nail it. And I would go as far to say that it was better than The Judge, which had a much bigger release and had all these names attached. This movie had way more heart, and it made me. I keep thinking about it. It really stays with you.
Yeah, it's quite good.
Awesome.
Now that must have been interesting. The two of you watching a movie with Hugh Grant and Marissa Tomei.
Two of our
to
favorites.
have that
Her
much.
boyfriend, my girlfriend.
Yes.
You guys had some really good sex afterwards, didn't you?
Good movie. It was great.
To have that much sexual tension in the room and have it not be about each other.
Yes, certainly.
And I'll mention briefly about Far From the Madding Crowd that it's amazing when I see a story that's based on a classic novel. This is a 19th century Thomas Hardy novel. You know, it's about Bathsheba Everdeen.
Hardy.
And she's got 3 suitors, you know, and she turns down the one who's the sheep farmer. And she turns down the one who's super rich. And then there's a third guy who she goes with, who comes in out of nowhere in the middle of the movie, and you don't like him, you don't get him, and you don't know why. For a third of the movie, they're setting her up as this big, independent girl who can't be tamed, and then this guy wins her.
So you're saying you saw this?
Yeah. Okay. She's impetuous. She makes a super. I'm just saying
This
that.
is just all off the trailer, right?
No, I'm just saying it's amazing that when I find out something is a classic piece of literature, and I find this huge flaw in the middle of it, that I don't know why this girl who is so independent goes with the guy. I'll marry him. Like I don't get why that would happen.
Now here's a question.
It's a huge flaw.
Here's a question about period pieces. I'm not Mr. Period Piece. It's not my bag. Okay, but
they're still making those, getting out theaters.
You're right. More of those than romantic comedy. I mean, Downton Abbey has had a renaissance in that, whereas there's been no renaissance in. Now, so the period that it's set in,
Victorian.
Okay, Victorian. That's kind of half the fun of those things, right? Like really, once they've got the setting down, they don't have to thrill you in a lot of other ways, right? Isn't most of it just enjoying being in that setting?
Not
Is that
for
the
me,
key?
no, because if
to
it's just
period
like
piece?
shots of like people walking with parasols, no,
drinking
I have
tea.
no.
I mean, could they do that for
or
2 hours?
Throwing out
afterwards,
some
right?
If it's
crap
just
out the window,
people
no.
in costumes doing things that are lame, no.
Yeah, that's the
Okay.
Renaissance Festival. Sorry, Renaissance
The
Festival.
adaptation.
right.
Oh, they know.
They
know.
They know
They
what
know.
they're doing. Yeah. Well, the Renaissance Festival is more interesting. No, to me, it's still about the characters. Like, maybe it informs you of like, oh, I can see this person is really passionate. Like some of the great Austin film adaptations, where you can like see that bubbling
Sense and
emotion.
sensibility.
Yeah, where you know because of the time period they can't quite express it, but you
And
can see the
comfort.
emotion. Oh, that makes it.
If you
so
want to see
exciting.
Far From the Madding Crowd, there's still 2/3 of a movie that happens after she ends up with this sergeant, because the guy turns out to be a huge dick. We all knew it when he came in, and I don't know why she ends up with it.
Isn't that like real life, guys? Everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Huge dick?
Yeah. But
What
come on,
is
Bart.
she doing with him
Yep.
is
Yeah.
what I repeat to myself all day, every day.
Right?
I'm saying.
How'd that happen? How did that happen?
Another obsession of his.
Carey Mulligan is our lead, Bathsheba Everdeen, and she's Whitney Houston, and this third guy is Bobby Brown. And I don't know why she didn't just go with someone nicer.
Now,
Kevin Costner. Why didn't she go with
Kevin Costner was right there. He's the sheep farmer.
Sheep farmer. What's his power?
Anyway,
Now, Bathsheba
anyone else see anything?
Everdeen.
Oh fuck it. Never
I
mind
watched
that.
Iron Man through almost. I'm almost up to Guardians of the Galaxy. I've watched every Marvel movie.
No shit. Incredible Hulk.
Yeah,
It's good, isn't it?
yeah. I watched Iron Man, Incredible Hulk, Iron Man 2, Thor, Captain America.
So Thor: Dark World.
Thor: Dark World.
Better on a second viewing.
Yeah, that one kind of sustains. It's Iron Man 3 that really like takes a jump each time. Like each time that movie gets exponentially better. Like that is just such
I'm gonna have to watch it many times. I think.
Yeah, no, I kind of had the same feeling. I was like, this is an interesting, almost non-event in a way. Like I just felt like there was something, and I love Shane Black, and I love Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, and I'm like, what a magical pairing. And I got everything I needed out of their relationship, between that director and their improvisational style and all the jokes and everything like that. But that gets better each time. It gets more Shane Black each time. It gets more cohesive with how those two work together. Tony Stark gets funnier and funnier every time. It's a really funny movie.
It's pretty...
And it's jam-packed.
It's pretty interesting how they maintain quality and tone, and, you know, it's part of this bigger world, yet they get these directors in there who... you know, can bring their... It's Shane Blackie.
It's a Shane Black movie,
Yet it's not like, oh, that's sort of a separate movie from the rest of the universe.
It's set at Christmas and a dock blows up at the end. It's a Shane Black movie.
Yeah, I love all the Shane Black stuff. The thing that bugged me about it is I felt that the movie was really successfully driving to the point of Tony Stark must overcome all of his fears that he can do things by himself, and instead of doing any sort of great moment where he has no tech left but has to do something anyway, it instead inverts everything the film has been working on thematically, and he calls as many Iron Men as he possibly can.
Yeah, but he's already made the journey at that point. But he's already had to. He has to invade a chalet full of soldiers with guns and weapons he made himself, and not his armor.
But his fear is losing Pepper and being able to defend Pepper, and his guilt of getting Pepper in trouble. I would have just loved it if it had come down to he really has that moment of breakthrough. He doesn't have a moment of breakthrough. The busting into the compound where the Mandarin is great, and it is him sort of like, I don't have all my gear and I'm trying.
He's James Bond,
and that's great. I just wanted one more moment of that where he truly had the moment where he made a breakthrough, and I didn't think we saw the character have a breakthrough on screen.
Well, also one piece of chronology that I think we're forgetting is I think he thought Pepper was dead by the time he puts the armor back on. I think
probably.
Technically she was quote
well,
unquote dead.
I guess I'll have to watch Iron Man 3 5 more times. Darn it, I do like the movie.
But
I'm just bugged by that.
The cool thing is for going the entire middle act without him in the armor, and basically they put him back in the cave was the idea of that they put him back in the cave and he has to struggle out of this new cave. And going back to what we said earlier, Robert Downey Jr. was an alcoholic. The character of Tony Stark, very famously in the comic book, was an alcoholic. They've been asking since the very beginning, are you going to do the story that is called Demon in a Bottle? Very famous Iron Man story, very mature adult story in which Tony Stark deals with alcoholism, which is actually how Rhodey becomes Iron Man for a year or two. But this whole movie, they go back to the theme over and over and over about a demon. He uses that term over and over and over. And what I realized at this time that they did the Demon in the Bottle story, but instead of alcohol, it was the obsession with creating the suits, the obsession with Iron Man. He became obsessed with Iron Man, and he had to get rid of Iron Man completely. Lost the mansion, lost everything, lost his armor, and had to fight for himself. So he had to lose Iron Man to prove the very last line of the movie, I am Iron Man, is the last line he says once again.
and then he'll be back.
Did you see anything, Joseph?
I haven't seen a movie in weeks because I've been too busy for an actual movie. The last movie I saw Blade Runner at the Dome, which was awesome.
Oh, sweet, yeah.
Yeah.
I saw a recent 4K projection of that on one of the lots. Yeah, best thing about that movie is how gorgeous it is.
I did see it. I saw a 4K projection too, and they took the effects and scanned those in 8K.
We saw it together.
Yeah, and they scanned the effects in 8K, so that's like 75 millimeter. It just looks astounding.
We saw The Shining about a year and a half ago in the Dome. Pretty sweet seeing it there?
Yeah. You feel very surrounded by it.
New cut, old cut? Which cut?
It was the most recent cut, and it was confusing to me because I had seen different cuts a long time ago, and I kind of couldn't remember which cut was which. Beyond the narration not being there, I was kind of like, which cut was this? I had to go look up after the fact. And it's like the final. It's like the fifth final approved by, the dog involved. Who knows? It was just like the finalist final, I guess. And I enjoyed it.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, there's with narration or not. And then
but there's so much more.
Fiddle however you want after that.
Yeah.
But just that's the main thing that I find different. Bart, what's on TBS?
The playoffs.
Oh, so, no movies for you.
No, I'm watching that. Actually, they're on TNT. But for me, they both start with T, so yeah. I'm easily confused.
The Country Music Network.
All right, let's wrap up the show with a bang with Karen's weekly celebration of the birthdays of those who make the movies. It's time for Karen's birthdays. Let's go.
Let's start off our week of birthdays by wishing a very happy birthday to fellow alumna, graduate Mary McDonnell, who turned 63 but can play anywhere from First Lady in Battlestar Galactica to the President in Independence Day.
What's she alumna of?
She's also, she graduated years before. Paul and I did from Fredonia State University.
I thought you were just saying, hey, she's a college student, I'm a college student.
Everybody. No, she was one of our.
From college?
We all graduated.
She was one of our most famous graduates. They talk about it all the time.
She's in the brochure.
Exactly.
I love
There's
those colleges that have like one big celebrity,
Right.
but yet it's like.
They'll put you out of the airlock at that college.
She would come into school every now and then. I never met her. Paul, did you ever meet her?
Oh, yeah.
Did you? What was she like?
She signed my sneakers poster.
Nice.
She's awesome. She's great.
Passport.
Yeah.
Did she
Oh,
write
then
the
we
word
went to a
passport?
Q&A with her once. She's fantastic.
I don't think she ever taught a class or anything, though. Did she? I don't
After we
remember
left
that.
there, yeah.
All
I
right.
just need you to say one thing. Passport.
You probably all know Mary from her 2 Academy Award winning. She had 2 Academy Awards. Can you tell me what movies? First of
Nominated.
all,
Yeah.
nominated for.
I can tell you only one. Dances with Wolves.
Right. What's the other one?
Passion Fish.
It's not Sneakers?
No,
It's gotta be
I
Sneakers.
did love Sneakers. Though.
Everyone loves Sneakers.
Okay, so this is just kind of a fun little
Passion of
test
Fish?
because I like this character name so much. Do you know the character she played in Dances with Wolves?
Crouching.
I do.
Talks
Tiger?
without point.
Rambles on endlessly? No.
Obsessed with Marvel?
No.
Stepped in Buffalo Chip.
No, close, Paul.
Stands with a fist.
Yes, that's correct.
Oh, stands with a fist. I was going to say that after all the other things I said.
Next up, let's wish a very happy birthday to Miss Cloris Leachman.
Hey.
Yay.
Good
She
for her.
turns 88.
Wow.
But can
Nice.
play anywhere from Frau Beauty to Frau Blucher.
Good night, Frau Blucher.
She won the Best Supporting Actress Oscar for what movie, everyone?
Poseidon Adventure.
No. Try again, Paul.
The Last Picture Show.
Very nice.
I worked at Blockbuster.
Wild Action. That was in
Sounds
Wild
like
Action.
you worked
Wild-
there
it
and
was-
Suncoast.
Wild action and wild comedy.
Wild comedy, wild action.
So, just a little quiz for you guys. Can you tell me what 3 Mel Brooks films she appeared in?
Ooh.
High anxiety.
That's right.
Young Frankenstein.
Yes, and
Cloris Leachman?
Cloris Leachman.
Dracula Dead and Loving It.
No, she played Madame Defarge.
Cloris Leachman?
Cloris, yes, the one, the only. She played
John
Madame
Ritter?
Defarge in The History of the World Part 1.
Yeah, I wouldn't have
They
gotten
parodied Charles Dickens' Tale of Two Cities.
Oh, Cloris Leachman.
Sure, yeah, that one. The reason I bring it up
Sale of
is
Fugitives.
she auditioned for a chance to revive her role from Young Frankenstein in the 2007 Broadway production opposite Megan Mullally. But Andrea Martin, Second City fame, she got the role instead. Mo Brooks was quoted as saying about Leachman, at 81, she was too old for the role. We don't want her to die on stage. However, if you remember, Cloris Leachman went out to do some great dancing in Dancing with the Stars, and Brooks reportedly asked her to reprise the role of Frau Blucher in the Broadway production, but it closed before she had a chance to do it.
So
Happy
he died.
birthday!
Happy birthday!
There's no producers.
I know. Can you believe that? This sucks.
Yeah, Kate's brother actually workshopped that show.
Cool.
Yeah. Then they recast him.
And
I guess that
they
happens.
always-
I don't know.
I've been on the other end of that. Yes, that's how that works. We do all the work here.
Hey,
and
you
then
did a really good job. So
sorry.
goodbye.
And finally, what a happy birthday we're having. Let's wish a very happy birthday to Tarantino's muse, the lovely Miss Uma Thurman.
Uma. Oprah.
She turns 44, but can play anywhere from statuesque to model-like. We all know Uma is quite a unique name. She was named after the goddess of light and beauty from an Indian mythology. So
Nice.
that's a lot to live up to as a child.
She's doing a good job.
She's doing a very good job of that.
Wolves.
We all know her from her Academy Award-winning nominated turn in Pulp Fiction. But did you know that Tarantino originally had Uma in mind to play Honey Bunny? Can you believe that?
Oh, wow.
She was going to play
Yeah.
Honey Bunny, but then he decided maybe she was better suited to play Mia Wallace after their first meeting. So now I submit to you, movie guys. Can you name what 2 movies Uma Thurman danced with John Travolta in?
Mad Dog and Glory.
No. Try again. We
Pulp
all know
Fiction.
Pulp Fiction. And what other movie did she dance with him
The
in?
General's Daughter.
Is there like some Scientology promo film?
Battlefield Earth.
No, it's actually a sequel to Get Shorty.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
They danced in,
Jackie Brown?
Be Cool.
Be Cool. I did not see Be Cool.
Big
I missed
Trouble.
the dancing. Did anybody see Be Cool?
Was it a reference
Nobody
to
saw that.
Pulp
I didn't
Fiction
like it.
dancing? Was it like a callback?
I don't know.
They were like, they thought it was cool that they got them to do.
Yeah,
dancing.
yeah, okay.
It was one
And
of those.
also a fun fact, because I know, Bart, you like fun facts,
I insist all my facts be fun. Otherwise, I don't want to know them.
right? Well, because she's trying to live up to the goddess of light and beauty, she has a shade of Lancome lipstick named after her. However, only available in Asia.
Oh.
Yeah, so if you want Uma lips, you have to go to Asia.
Fried Uma lips? Ooh, I get the fried Uma lips on the noodle bed?
You can get those flown in from Asia.
Yes.
That's nice.
Very rare.
And lastly, Bart, you know how much I love when celebrities sing.
It's true. Joseph was just asking me before the show, could you tell me 2 interesting things about Karen? And I said, first of all, her Indian name is Watches Movies with Paul.
That's right.
And
it's true.
She loves when celebrities sing.
I do very much. And so since we were talking about Cloris Leachman and we were talking about Mel Brooks, I thought, why not listen to a little Uma Thurman singing, if you've got it, flaunt it, from The Producers. And we can all imagine her in that tight white dress.
When you go deep,
What is this from?
The Producers.
step right up
She's,
the street,
what's her
you'll
nuts?
stand.
Yes, she's Ula.
Ula.
People
Ula
tell you
Thurman.
modesty's a virtue. But in
Now, a second ago, we were just talking about how you have the people do the reading of the musical. They take it to Broadway and they recast it.
Yeah.
Then you have the woman who wins the Tony for playing this part gets recast by Uma Thurman. So it happens to everybody.
Oh, yeah. It happens to the best.
Happens all the way up the chain.
Yep.
All right, well, that's all for this show, ladies and gentlemen. Together, we are the Movie Guys. Individually, we are Bart and Preston. You can follow us on Twitter at The Movie Guys for daily jokes and links. Also on Facebook.com/The Movie Guys, as well as iTunes, Vimeo, YouTube, Funny or Die, SoundCloud, Vine, and Instagram, all that shit. It's a lot to keep up with. Thanks to Joseph Scrimshaw, everybody.
Hey, thank you guys for having me.
Where are we going to find out cool stuff about you?
JosephScrimshaw.com or my Twitter at Joseph Scrimshaw.
There you go. Nice. And we didn't even talk about it. You got a couple of albums, right?
Yeah. You can find all my comedy albums at Joseph Scrimshaw, josephscrimshaw.com, and Obsessed, the podcast, is on Feral Audio at feralaudio.com.
Yes.
Nice, and out there on iTunes as well. Also, don't be shy about visiting digitalmindproductions.com, my production company that puts this on. WhatKarenVolpe.com, find out what Karen's doing. Schadenfreude.net.
Sure, yeah. Well, right now it's
Adam's,
the
comedy
download
troupe.
on WGN because every night for the 10 o'clock hour, the last hour of the show, on any given night, myself, Kate James, Sandy Marshall will all call in as different characters. So it's like a Schadenfreude reunion every night.
That's the great Justin Kaufman.
Justin Kaufman.
Nice. Show. And thanks to Steve Schultz for his writing contributions to the show every week. And remember, you can find everything we're up to at themovieguys.net. Next week, more movies, and we'll have you saying, let's go see Avengers a second time. See you then!
Bye.